All right, my friends, I'm the guest on Lynn's Warriors, so take it away.
Well, you're the biggest warrior I know.
That's true.
Thank you. It's Warrior Wednesday. And I wanted to bring to everybody's attention something that's been sort of eating away at me, and I've been doing a lot of research on, and it's coming across different stories and actually different people contacting me. And that is this toxic culture of this male. Let me just break this down. There's a lot to this. We're seeing this Eric Swalwell and this Tony Gonzalez in Congress, and these horrible things with
Bill Cosby.
Well, with women coming forward. And I don't want to hear the argument, like, why didn't they come forward before? It's the same old argument. Women are scared. Women are embarrassed. Women think if they had a drink with somebody that they allowed it, okay? And not only, I'm pointing out these two, Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez. I mean, they work for us. I don't know who did their vetting. I think these things could have been easily found out because they seem to have a history, not just a one time, of this kind of behavior. But I'm sure there are many others in Congress. And yes, like Bill Cosby. But there's something online that is very disturbing, and it's called the sleep culture. And it is carried primarily on Telegram, okay, a messaging app. And in the month of February 2026 alone, 62 million American men signed on to this. Now, the sleep culture, this is very disturbing. This is the assault, right? I'm just going to say that.
SA, for those of you who know, because YouTube is rather punctilious as to what words you can and can't use for monetization. So we'll refer to it as SA, assault. Got it?
Thank you for that clarification.
Gotta make sure.
I wish I could be more hard-hitting, but this sleep culture. So again, 62 million American men have been tracked the month of February alone, and the sleep culture is assault on their wife or girlfriend, and they film it, and they're uploading it to these different sites and sharing online, and it's becoming this huge underground kind of thing. I can't imagine. I mean, can you anything worse than that? And many of the women are mothers. Many of the women also report they were completely knocked out. They share on this messaging, on Telegram, this sleep culture group. They share ways to do it. Put things in drinks, put things in food, put things, even in cups of tea before bed. All kinds of strategies. Again, a lot of these women are mothers. And then the few that have come forward to talk about this. There was that case with Dominic Pellicott. Do you remember? Her husband was doing this for years and years, but
Yep.
he was found guilty, and she's been out there speaking to everybody about this. She said there's no shame, no embarrassment. These women reportedly, they would wake up and think maybe something was wrong, or their clothes were changed, and they were always told, you're crazy, you're imagining it, you took a sleeping pill, you don't know what you're doing, you had too much to drink. And it's the point of all this, it's escalating. And the point of all this is, if men are doing this, this will trickle down to our boys, our younger men, who we already have a problem with that horrible group 764, which the FBI has put out 3 warnings in the last year. This very toxic male kind of culture. So it's, what do you have to say about that? Because everything seems to me right now, I want to say in the last few weeks, exploding around artificial intelligence. There's tremendous pushback from both sides of the aisle. All of this slop, as they're calling it. But again, it's about the kids seeing it, the kids hearing it, and what we're going to do to help them and change this.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the criminal liability, if you can think about it, of some place that acts as a platform which provides for him, and move over a little bit. There we go. That provides a platform for this, and I understand 230 and all that stuff even applies, but were it not for certain internet platforms, social media platforms, this wouldn't be available. They're actually, put it this way, what if it was CSAM? What if it was child sexual abuse material, or child pornography as it used to be called? What if that were being sold? This is the documentation of a crime. This is a crime scene. This is the assault of a woman who is knocked out, unable to consent. This is the R word, 100%, without a doubt. How are they not saying, wait a minute, this is not what we stand for. We will, if we find out this is a violation of our terms and service, or terms and conditions, or terms of services, or terms of service, or whatever you want to call it, and this will not be countenanced in the least. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm wondering about. I don't know anymore. Aside from that, I'm also wondering, why are men potentially opening themselves up to criminal liability? If this was somehow grabbed, all of the women that you are doing this to, they could most probably get a hold of this. You are basically signing your own death warrant, because how many people, most of the time, when people engage in this particular type of behavior, roofies and GHB and everything else, and Mickeys, and the reason why people got away with it, there was no way to prove it. These men are providing documentation.
That's what I don't understand.
I don't get it.
They're uploading the videos, sharing the videos.
Do you know how many times I was just doing an interview, and how many times I say, I don't know. Somebody would say, well, how do you explain this foreign policy? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand anything. In the old days, I could understand crimes. It kind of made sense. But the first rule of, Fight Club is, we don't talk about Fight Club, but the first rule of crime is you don't document it. You don't get caught. That's why people wear a mask. That's why people go in a cover of darkness. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand the mentality either, especially as we have more discussion about it, more awareness about it. But 62 million, to me, that is staggering that these platforms are facilitating, allowing this, and there is video proof. To me, this is incredible, yet I can be censored sharing a well-vetted report from another source.
We can't even use the word to accurately describe what it was to warn women of it, because an algorithm is going to just pull that word out. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
But the thing about it is that what does it say about the culture?
Yes.
What does it say about documentation? And it's not, if you said, well, there's a few of these toxic men, there is no end to this. There is no end.
No, there's even in the news yesterday and today, Guy Fieri, the chef, the diners and dives and drive-ins. There's a picture of him, I don't know if you saw it, shaking hands with Andrew Tate recently, and slapping each other on the back, and he's now trying to walk that back because the Tate brothers and their toxic culture and online the way they were acting.
Yeah, I don't get that one either.
And I guess they've gotten away with that one. But I'm just saying, this is what, again, I go back to, our children are seeing. Our our boys and young men are seeing. Perhaps this is the way you treat girls and young women. And digressing a little bit, there's also, and the media will not talk about this, there are so many kids, we have cases 12, 14, and 16. They are obviously brilliant kids. They are hacking major corporations and taking in millions of dollars, because these companies, when they get hacked, they don't want to talk about it and alarm everybody. Oh, yeah. And they would rather pay. There's a case, he actually was caught. He is 17 years old now. He is going to prison. They paid him $3 million, and he's online showing off. He bought himself a diamond bracelet.
What are they? Oh, that's another thing too. Thank God they're stupid, right?
They're savvy. They know how to hack.
What is it called? Not extortion, but there's a name for it. There's
Well, I'm calling them hackers.
Yeah,
they're called young hackers. There might be a word for it. I don't know.
Anyway, but
they're able to do all this. And again, these companies would rather just pay out sums of money than go through and alerting everybody.
Right, exactly. It's the strangest thing. If I certainly don't want to do this, but there are children that there are kids who are finding themselves sometimes either permanently harming themselves, if you know what I mean, or seriously harming themselves, who are threatened to do things, choke themselves, hurt themselves, subway ride. Surfing, you're right. Not that I'm suggesting this, but if somebody said, hey, here's a new thing called Russian roulette. Let's think of something, hey, let's see, the new one is, see if you can survive a 10-story jump out the window. People would do it. This is the thing, and I'll bet you anything. The folks who came up with social media never thought they would ever see this. I mean, they thought it, but they never thought.
No, I don't think they thought it.
No.
I don't think they intentionally set out to I think it was just spiraled. I think it out of their control. I think they saw monies then rolling in because of ad revenue. And again, there is no regulation. The only business we have, internet.
Let me show you something which is interesting. We come from a different generation, obviously. We know of a case recently where somebody who, I don't want to get too much into detail, became too enslaved by social media. She thought she had to act a particular way because other people in this ridiculous world, instead of saying, okay, that's the way people are, no, she looked at it not as just examples of how people act, but as the example, the exemplar, the goal. And she had to be told, you can't watch this because her behavior, she was going through depression because she did not comport with this magical world. If you and I saw that, how many times do we see people that eat raw, they eat meat? They don't. They cold plunge.
Okay, but here's the thing you're not talking about. We have life experience.
But that's what I'm saying.
30 and under or thereabouts.
None.
They've been born in the digital bubble. So what they see online, we can't blame them or judge them. This is being thrown at them, okay? They think what they see is real because that's how they've grown up.
Or that
I have to explain, none of that's real.
Or that if they don't comport,
they feel bad about themselves.
Right.
They get depressed. They harm themselves. All kinds of things. We work with so many parents, which reminds me, next week we are bringing and meeting up with many parents in Washington, D.C. We're holding a vigil on the lawn in front of Capitol Hill. This is bipartisan to talk about AI. There is a tremendous pushback, both from Democrats, both from Republicans. I'm happy to see that we need to put a moratorium. We need to stop. We need to research. We need to wait. Put the brakes on this for a while because we've seen the harms of social media, right? Big tech. We need to investigate more. And it is being, even tomorrow we're doing a rally. We're having a rally. I'm attending downtown in front of City Hall in New York City schools that we put the brakes for 2 years. And again, it's Republicans, it's Democrats. So I'm happy to see this. I have always said is the one issue I think everybody can come together on. And I'm proud to say they are coming together. They are fighting back. So these brave parents that travel the country and we spend time with and we work with, we'll be gathering and more on that. That will be next Tuesday, but that will be a media event. We're calling everybody out.
Can we mention your expo too?
Absolutely. We can mention the expo. This is what gives me hope. So Tuesday, going to Washington, meeting up with all the parents. I will be going into all the offices in New York, New Jersey, talking to all the Congress members about why we need the Kids Online Safety Act, Senate version 1748 with the duty of care. But that gives me hope that these parents want to do this, that we're able to do this, right? Yesterday, what gives me hope is that at Fordham University here in New York, up in the Bronx, as we say, tremendous Wonder Girls, which is a teen empowerment group. Girls in middle, high school, and college participate. Yesterday was all high school girls, and it was a career expo. And there were about 40 different businesses, organizations, individuals, right, entrepreneurs, and tables set up where the girls travel from table to table, and you talk to them, you engage, you give them information, you empower them. And I have to say, because we did it a year ago as well, the girls this year asking me smart questions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've already been contacted today because, I say, I have all these things I give out to them and affirmation, little gifts to, I tell them to look in the mirror and tell themselves every morning, you can do this. That means a lot to these girls that at our age, we share this with them. We take an interest in them. And I've already had a few reach out to me this morning. They'd like to continue the conversation. They want to learn more about trafficking and exploitation. One young lady, criminal justice. She's going to college in the fall. She wants to talk more about maybe what avenue she should take, hear more about the landscape, what's going on. So I was very impressed that these girls from, right now it's New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, one school in Connecticut, and we're branching out, want to learn. 25 schools we're in, and we have 3 more pending. They want to know about, especially in this day and age, it's no longer you can get in a company and work up the ladder, right? Look what we're handing our kids. How do you make a living, right? How do you have benefits? So a shout out to our great friends at the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, who showed up, 8 of them, because women can have a great career there in the labs, as investigators, helping with all of this. A lot of young women are involved in the DEA, and they turned out, and they never let us down anytime we asked them to show up, to come, to help us, and they educate about the drug landscape. And a lot of kids are buying drugs online. That's it, with 2 clicks, and delivered to their back door, their front door. So there is a lot of hope. There's more awareness. There's more talk about it. But I want to just finish up with 62 million American men. Think about how many men that is. And these are supposed to be their loved ones they're abusing, their wives, their girlfriends, right? That is horrific. Let that sink in for a minute. How horrific is that they would do to the mother of their child, their children? Or, right? Isn't that just, it boggles my mind, okay? And then again, big tech, the platforms are allowing it. And then again, it's trickling down to our kids seeing all of this.
And the idea is that when we used to say that men should be the protectors of women, it sounds so trite. But we're seeing people over and over again make light of the fact, make sport of the fact that women are to be targeted, women are to be singled out and abused for either amusement or whatever. It's incredible.
It is not. But, I want to recommend everybody go back and look at my recent interview with Emma Waters, tech policy expert from Heritage Foundation. We did a terrific, just discussing, there really is a return to, there's nothing wrong with, if you're able to do it, staying home, taking care of your kids, being a wife, and if you want to clean your house and cook, what's wrong with that?
Absolutely.
My generation was told, no, you got to go out to work. There was a push, late 70s, 80s.
And they also
you got to do it all. You got to have
also
it all.
Get your job first, and then later
have children.
I want to say something very nicely. It is easier for a young woman to get married than an older woman to get married. I'm sorry.
Why?
It's the way it is. I'm just saying. But don't you agree?
And it's also
man too. Whatever. But you can't just pick up.
Well, I agree. But our conversation started because a recent report from 2025, fertility rates are once again down in the United States. So Emma dissects that and the reasons behind that. And really, because many women go to work, they work hard. By the time they're getting a promotion or they're in the job, 15, 20 years, then they decide, gee, maybe I should have a baby. By then, they're already perhaps in their 40s. They're going to give up this. They've worked 20 years for this job opportunity. Now they want a baby. What do they do?
Right.
So there really is this movement. Most media doesn't talk about this, where these young women are, you know what? We're going to figure it out. We're going to have children young. We're going to get all that together. We're going to make it work somehow, some way. And it's easier said than done because we both know the economics of having children and all of that weighs into everything. But where there's a will, there's a way.
And where there's a will, there's a lawyer, as they say. And my friends, I think that's a wonderful way of...
But I just want to point out, we started with the Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic culture. It's from top down. And this is what the kids are seeing, whether it's in government, whether it's in entertainment. It is all over the place. And this is NG. So speak to your kids and grandkids.
And on a lighter, more interesting note, not more interesting, strike that. We,
yesterday
not
more interesting. This is
after
interesting.
we went to Fordham, we were in the Bronx. We said, let us go by and let's see our friends at Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. This is, if ever you're in New York,
you must.
This is Little Italy. This is not downtown.
Authentic people.
Not Mulberry Street. No. That's Chinatown. There's nothing there anyway. And let's face it, this is the real.
So
good. The red sauce joints, bakery. The restaurant we went to was started in 1919. Mario's. We went to Madonna Bakery.
Love it.
1918 with an olive bread that
die for, right?
I mean, and people were piling in. It's a look
Let me
at
tell you, for a Tuesday, later afternoon,
cook it.
We got there. There were about 6 people in front of us. We're ordering the olive bread. There's 50 people came in and lined up behind us. This little tiny bakery, no tables or anything. You just order the counter. But that gives me a lot of hope too.
Yes.
That people are still seeking that authentic. So if anybody, I always say everybody should experience New York City, New York once in their lifetime. You have to go to authentic places like Arthur Avenue in the Bronx.
Yeah, not Times Square.
Well, it's our job to tell people about this.
That's why we're doing it.
Right.
All right, dear lady. How about any finale?
Talk to your kids and have a lot. There's a lot of hope out there. A lot of great young people doing things. I'm seeing a lot of great things across the United States.
listen to the lady. And thank you.
Thanks, everybody.